Welcome back to another ownership car review. Today I will be reviewing the 350Z, which I owned for about 1.5 years. It was a Roadster 6-speed manual. I believe it was the Touring model. There were several different models of that car. I believe it was the Touring with the leather seats, the 6-speed manual, and the 18-inch wheels. So just a quick backstory. I owned this car from about 2015 to about 2016 and a half. And I traded a 2002 Audi A6 4.2 liter Quattro for the 350Z, pretty much straight up. I bought it from a young guy out in Abbotsford, British Columbia, and it was a little rough around the edges. I won't joke about it. I mean, I got a really cheap price, and I ended up cleaning it up and then basically experiencing it for about a year and a half. So in this review, I'm going to talk about that car. Prior to the 350Z, I had owned a couple of Infiniti and Nissan products. So back in 2002, I bought one of the first Nissan Altimas. That was a complete redesign. It was a 5-speed manual, black on black leather, and it was like I remember my colleague at my office, he had a BMW 328i, and I smoked him. We were on the highway dancing around. The thing had 240 horsepower, 5-speed manual, and I gotta tell you, I really fell in love with what Nissan was doing with their really the mechanics of the car, the suspension setups, and so on and so forth. The interior quality on Nissan cars in those years was pretty shitty, but they put the money in all the right parts. You know, the engine, the suspension, the steering. These are really good cars from a mechanical point of view. After the Altima, I think it was a 2003 model Altima, I saw an Infiniti G35 Coupé with a 6-speed manual at the same dealership. I was there doing some service, and I talked to the owner of the dealership. It's Moray Nissan, by the way. That's by Willingdon and the Trans-Canada Highway. And one of the brothers that owned the dealership, he brought it in for himself from Japan. It was the very first G35 Coupé in Canada. And I convinced him to lease it to me for 1 year. So I had the G35 6-speed manual, which looked like today's e-tron, or you know, some kind of Taycan or whatever. People just stopped me everywhere and said, "What is that thing? It's an exotic car." And they couldn't, understand the Infiniti. I think it's Mount Fiji is their logo on the Infiniti. So that car got a lot of attention. Forget about the M3s, forget about all other cars at that time. It was like this G35 Coupe was a rocket ship. It had 280 horsepower. It got more horsepower later in its mid-cycle refresh. Same with the 350Z. So hey, let's dive into this. I'll talk about some other Infinitis I had later, M45, Q45, etc., etc. But what I wanted to talk about today is, basically, it took me a long time to figure out how to do this review, because you can see elsewhere on the channel, I was just kind of driving one day. I had an RX-8 R3, which pretty good car, and I'll link it here at the end of this video if you want to go check that out. I was actually driving it and doing the review at the same time. This one here is going to be more like some videos and some visuals to help me through this review. Okay, first of all, let's break it down. This was a 2004 Roadster 6-speed manual, and it had 287 or 286 horsepower and about 274 pound-foot torque. Throughout the years, in 2006 I think it was, they put all engines up to 300 horsepower, regardless of whether it was a manual or an automatic transmission. And then in 2007 to 2009, they bumped it up again to 306 horsepower and put a bit of a broader torque curve in there. So if I was to recommend buying this car, a 350Z, whether you wanted to get the Roadster or a coupe version, I found the Roadster, actually, when I compared the two, was quite a bit more practical than the coupe, because the Roadster actually had a proper trunk. and it didn't have that big brace, which cuts the coupé trunk or cargo area right in half. To me, it was kind of a silly design. It kind of looked cool, but it was pretty impractical. Okay, so one of the things, first of all, when the 350Z first came out, I mean, I was really hyped up for it. And when I saw it, I was a little disappointed. I thought, well, it looks a little cheap. It looks a little, yeah, it looks a little bit space age. I thought the Infiniti G35 was much more beautiful. And I don't know. It to me, it didn't pass the visual test. It was too bulbous and too round and too Audi TT-ish. And so, quite frankly, I wasn't one of those people that had to run out and buy one. I did much later in my life. I think the design aged really, really well. And I think the 350Z, even to this day, is a very beautiful car. Because of that sort of space age design, has aged really well in today's sort of manufacturing, visual tests, if you will. And so anyway, back to the car itself. At the time, yeah, not too impressed with it. It had about the same, a little bit more power than the G35, but the G35 had, a little more luxuries. The interior was way better, even though the G35 interior was not up to standards for a $48,000 car for 2003. In today's money, probably around 70 grand. And the bottom line was the 350Z was just horrendous. Absolutely. Like, you'll see some of these pictures here. I'm just showing you the inside. Some of these, the interior of the 350Z was a total letdown. Like that middle compartment, it breaks off really easily. It's really thin plastic. It's not durable. Switches go all the time. Broad swaths of really hard plastic filling the entirety of the interior of the car. Just really flimsy, crappy stuff. The Bose stereo that came standard with the, I guess it was the Touring 350Z. That stereo was just absolute crap. So what I did is I added the unit that you see here, and I put in a 10-inch subwoofer in the trunk of the car and strapped it to the back of the firewall, separating the back seats to the back. And I gotta tell you, it sounded really good. And plus, it gave me the Bluetooth that I needed for work and all that kind of stuff, and being able to accept calls. So the car itself, driving impressions, very good. I have to say, prior to that, I had 3 convertibles. My first one was a BMW Z3 2.8i. No, sorry, 2.5i. Really nice car. It turned me on to BMW, actually. It was Estoril Blue. My second car was an MZ3, which was Estoril Blue as well. These were all manual transmissions, by the way. Of course, all M cars generally were manual transmissions at that time. And then my third convertible was a BMW Z4 3.0i with a 6-speed manual transmission. And with the sport package, it was loaded. It even had the flip-up navigation, which was absolutely archaic, I must say. It was almost impossible to learn how to use it. And so really, this 350Z, if I'm remembering correctly, I think was my it's my 5th convertible, because in parallel, I actually had a 2014 Mustang GT convertible, which I'll show here. That thing was a beast, by the way. 426 horsepower, coral red interior, very beautiful car actually, but scared the shit out of me. After driving German cars and really buckled down cars, going back to a muscle car with sort of a live rear axle was not a great feeling for me. I drive a lot through the mountains in British Columbia. You make a mistake in a Mustang GT at a high speed, you're done. You're dead, so to speak. And I don't say that lightly. Like, a lot of people crash prior to the Mustang GTs getting their independent rear suspension, a lot of folks just pushed them a little too far and just completely lost control of them. So this was just before the independent suspension, but it was the 5-liter, 426 horsepower, solid car, nice, comfortable, all that kind of stuff. So that was a convertible as well. So this 350Z was my 5th convertible. Now after that, I got an SL 600, Mercedes, BMW 650i. One mistake. This, sorry, I'm just going through my memory, right? I do these reviews off the top of my head, so I'm a bit of an encyclopedia of cars, but yeah, we're not perfect, right? We make mistakes. And I had a 335i Cabriolet prior to this car as well. I traded my Z4 for the 335i Cabriolet, 6-speed manual, navigation, the whole thing. A beautiful, beautiful car. I'll fire up a picture here. And okay, so let's go. The 350Z, I mean, I was a little bit older. I was in my late 40s, middle to late 40s when I bought it. And the bottom line is I had a lot of fun with it. I upgraded the tires. I put two 275 series on the back. They squeezed them on those wheels, 8-inch wheels. And I said, I don't care. I'm not going to take it to the track or anything like that. I just wanted to go for the cosmetic look, because I think 225 series tires on a 357 with a bulbous rear end look pretty ridiculous. I guess you could put wheel spacers, but they'd have to be like 25 centimeters, and then that wrecks kind of the setup of the car. So I just put some thicker rubber on the back. I did a few other things, LED lights all the way around, HID headlights. It came with that, but they were a little bit orangey, so I replaced them with nice white lights, got them all cleaned up. I completely rehauled the audio video system of the car, as you can see here. And I really cleaned it up. I had it detailed from a professional shop in Richmond, BC. And got it looking pretty nice. Really got the paint up to snuff. And one thing I'll say about Nissan, proved me wrong, I guess. That paint held up really well. It was the original paint, and once I got it polished up, it looked really nice. And so what else can I say about the car? Listen, it was a pleasure to drive it. The gearbox was excellent. It was really easy to use. The clutch was pretty light, but had enough weight to feel like you were really engaged with the car mechanically. I changed the shifter knob, as you can see here. And the bottom line is 350Z has received scorn. It's received accolades. Certainly there's a big aftermarket support for it, and people really, I don't know, they really whore these cars out pretty badly. It's a non-turbo car, and I just thought it was I don't know, this one was all original, and I really liked it. It only had it had the 287 horsepower or whatever it was when it first came out, but I thought it was perfectly fine for a car weighing 3,400 pounds. And I had a lot of fun with it. I just went for drives. I used to live in Delta, so I would drive from Delta to White Rock, do the beach and all that kind of stuff. No, not an elite car, not a car that it's not a Boulevardier where, people are gonna go, ooh, look at that guy. And I don't really give a shit about that stuff anyway. I like cars. And I gotta tell you though, it was fun, because I could take it out at night as well. And when it cooled off a little bit in nights in Vancouver, it had a built-in wind deflector in the back, and you put the windows up, you sat low in the car, so the wind buffeting was actually pretty decently muted. And I'd put the tunes on with that beautiful stereo system that I had cracked up there. And I gotta tell you, it's a nice driving experience. The exhaust sound is really good, very similar to the G35. It's got that sort of howl to it, which is really nice. When you turn the key and start up the Z car, or the G35 for that matter, of that era, you can really tell, like, it's a purpose-built setup. The exhaust system, the engine, the mechanics of the car were really well developed. And if you want to stick around for just another minute, I'll just tell you some fun facts. There was a new CEO that came into Nissan. His name was Carlos Ghosn. He's from here, from Brazil. He's a Lebanese Brazilian. And right this moment, he's actually in hiding in Lebanon because the Japanese automotive cartel are after him. And he actually smuggled himself in cargo across out of Tokyo and into Lebanon, where he lives today comfortably. They don't have an extradition law for him, so he's cool. But when he came in to Nissan, it was like sort of a marriage from the Renault to Nissan. He came in as a car guy, kind of like Lutz did with GM, Bob Lutz. You know, he had limited success because GM was just such a big mess. But Carlos Ghosn, he was responsible for building that Altima 3.5 SE 5-speed manual sedan, bringing out the G35, bringing out the 350Z, reviving that the Z car. You know, it was since 1996 in North America was the last 300ZX. Beautiful car, by the way. And then 2003 or 2002, I'm not sure, I think it was 3, was the first model year for the 350Z. So there was about a 7-year gap. In between that gap, Nissan put out a special project where they would retrofit, and I'll show you the pictures here, a 240Z. You could bring it to Nissan, they'd retrofit the entire car, and this is what it looked like. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I mean, not a lot of people know that, not a lot of people were aware of that. I think more people would have gone for it to have it professionally done by the Nissan mechanics. I think it would have been a really cool deal. So anyway, that's all I can say. I mean, I enjoyed the pictures. I mean, I'm just basically talking through the pictures here. I had some video, but I don't know what's going on. The video is in really small. They've been zipped and compressed, and I'm having a hard time getting the full size, you know, 4K video of the footage of the car. So it's going to take me a couple more reviews to kind of get this right. But I hope you enjoy the high resolution pictures that I've shown you here of the car. I enjoyed the car. I'm going to score it from 1 to 10. Interior, a 5. Drivability, 7.5, easily. Manual transmission, mandatory for this car. And for looks, I'm going to give it a solid 7.5 as well. So, you know, 7.5 for looks, drivability, and a 5 for the interior. And other than that, man, thanks for joining me on this video. Really love to talk about cars, and I try to make these videos as short as I can. You've heard that before, right? And so listen, I'll leave it at that. If you have any questions, just throw some comments in there. Please like my video. Google algorithms is a little bit confused about me because I'm a Canadian, but I live in Rio de Janeiro, as you can see by the background. And we're just coming into winter here, so it's actually getting bearable. The temperature is like 27 to 29. That's about what, 80 Fahrenheit. And anyway, so you know, send me a like, please. I would appreciate that. And you know, see you again. The next car I'm gonna review, I'll take on the RX-8 review onto this video, but the next one after this, I believe I'm gonna bite off the car I probably owned the longest in my adult life, and that was a BMW 550i, 2007 M Sport model, 6-speed manual. It ended up getting crashed, unfortunately, about 7 years after I owned it. It was a pizza delivery guy who was, but I can't say much about that on video because there was a case about it. And anyway, we'll just keep that confidential for now, but that's what happened to that car. Anyway, thumbs up. See you from Rio. See you soon.